The fans have wanted last year Joe Flacco, who was the backup.
Yeah, my Sunday ticket hasn't worked on those Sundays when he's looked the part.
Yeah, I
only see bad Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, there's a reason that Daniel Jones is there right now, and Shane Steichen is like, hey, the best guy's going to win the job. So we don't even know if Anthony Richardson is going to be starting.
So let me phrase it the way Chad started. I phrased it poorly for Chad then, because you're right. This is what he meant. If Anthony Richardson can get drafted high and start, so can Milroe. So he's essentially saying the opposite of the way I rephrased his question.
Right.
Like the Colts fell in love with Anthony Richardson. Why? Not because of the game film they saw.
No.
Because the game film wasn't spectacular.
All upside.
Yeah, it was all upside. And it was, gosh, this guy's a specimen. This guy can run. This guy brings a lot to the table. He played in the SEC. He played against a bunch of good defenses. He's seen good defenses before. He's not going to get as flustered as most guys. It's not like he's going from Marshall to the NFL where he's never seen defenses like this. This guy played SEC defenses.
Oh, I mean, look, from, oh my gosh, it wasn't Cody Pickett. Who was the other Washington? Jake Locker.
Yeah, they went to the Titans.
Jake Locker, Akili Smith. I mean, these athletic, bigger guys, a lot of teams have taken, big risk on them. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for Jalen. I think Jalen, I would lean that he's going to be early second.
Yeah. Brandy was telling me before the show that yesterday y'all talked about if there was an over-under on Alabama players in the first round at 1.5, 2.5 would be an easy under. 1.5 seems to be 2. Seems to be Tyler Booker, and then I would gamble on either Milroe or Campbell.
See, I think it's Campbell. And then I would gamble I would go Campbell, Booker, Milroe. But I do think the number is going to be 2. Here's another thing. If you're a general manager, you look at the upside and the athleticism and the ability to just flat out just kill people running the football. But after the Georgia game, he had more interceptions than touchdowns thrown. So that was in the final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games.
Because the LSU game was such a running game for him, not a throwing game.
Hey, and he only had one game on those last 9 games, did I say?
Yeah.
One game where he had more touchdowns than interceptions, and that was the Mercer game. So, look, it was a train wreck at times. Oklahoma, 11 of 26, 164 yards, 3 interceptions.
Oh, that's the film that when you get to that film, you're like, are we drafting this guy?
Yeah, this guy can't be. He can't play.
We're drafting this guy. They probably, I can imagine being an NFL GM or scout or whatever, and you sit down and you burn through that Georgia film, and you're like, my God, we got to trade up.
Yep.
We can't let this guy go. And then you get the LSU film, and you're like, whoo. Lord, can we get this guy today? And then you get that Oklahoma film, and you're like, boys.
Well, does that make any sense?
Your job's on the line if we pick this guy.
You're 27 of 33, 374 against Georgia, 2 touchdowns a pick. You rush 16 times, 117 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And then Oklahoma, 11 of 26, 164, no touchdowns, 3 picks, 15 carries, 7 yards.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense.
If you're in the Giants front office, you're putting that Georgia tape in, and you're like, that's basically the Eagles. They're all Georgia defenders.
That's right. He's playing a divisional
that's the way
team.
I would. If I'm the front office guy and in love with him, I don't even look at the other tape. This is the tape we're looking at.
So you don't look at the Oklahoma tape? You're like, whatever y'all do.
Well, if I've sold myself on it, it's gone.
Do not click on that thing that says Oklahoma right there. Whatever you do.
Yeah, just
burn it.
Yeah, we're going to try to coach that out of him.
Coach, they played 13 games. We only have 11 cut-ups. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, don't look at the rest of it. The draft coming up now in 57 hours and 45 seconds. From Green Bay, if you're not paying attention. We'll see how the folks in Green Bay turn out. It's going to be hard to beat what Detroit did last year, but I think I said it'd be hard to beat what Nashville did a few years ago, and Detroit did that last year. Can't wait to see the draft Thursday night as we get going with that. The college football stuff, and then a little personal thing before we get done with the first segment here. Clay Travis coming up at 10 o'clock, hour number 2. Show today being brought to you by our wonderful friend Alexander Shannara, trial attorneys. Local Alexander Shannara built this massive company right here from the ground roots of Birmingham, Alabama.
He did, and the vision Alex had is he wanted a law firm that could address every single issue his community faced. Well, they now handle not only personal injury claims, as you know, but also claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, workers' compensation, and a host of other claims. So when you find yourself in need of a lawyer, call the Alexander Shannara Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win your case. Shannara.com. That is Shannara.com.
So 2-0 again last night.
Attaway.
36-20 to start the Major League Baseball season. 8-3 to start the postseason in the NBA. More plays up and available right now at Lance'sLock.com.
Did you have the Pistons?
I did not play
didn't
NBA
play the
last
game?
night. I only
Okay.
had 2 Major League Baseball games.
Yeah. Go ahead. I want to ask
We
you
had the
something.
Guardians and the Marlins last night. But again, free play every single day at lanceslike.com. It is always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. They were actually coming to that. Well, they came to the house Friday to check the HVAC, and now my dryer line is backed up, so they got to come out and check that today. 205-229-2090. I've already had a conversation with Andrew this morning. Whether you experience any of the plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. They are ready to serve you. Right now, they've got $1,000 off new HVAC units, 0% financing. Hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
You ever think about buying shares of the company at Hemp Hill?
You've invested enough.
I mean,
maybe they'll just give you a
They've
couple.
been out a lot. Who is the other that's been at the house a million times?
Probably your AV guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fact.
The tree guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grace.
Greg from Pill City.
Yeah,
Grace.
yeah.
Yeah. Greg from Pill City.
Greg
Look at
from
your
Pill
roof.
City. Yeah.
Grace
Roof
Tree
and
Service.
Dex,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole show's
Well,
been out
this
there.
is-
Bud Light's been there a lot.
It sounds like I live in a money pit, but when you live in a house, I mean, these
It's
are
always
unfortunately,
something, that's right,
there's something that's got to be done.
Well, I came downstairs this morning, and my daughter had gone in and out until dark last night playing outside. She left the garage door open all night. And you walk in, and I open the door, and right away I feel like this humidity in my garage.
Welcome in, Braves country, to today's episode of the Pennant Grace. Sorry for the delay there. We have a lot to get to today, Ish, don't we?
We have a lot going on, and people are chatting and talking it up. People are talking about the Braves and not about the Braves losing. So that's nice.
That is nice. It's
Well,
nice.
I'll take anything over talking about just losing.
Well, 4's a streak, Ish, wouldn't you say?
We left Thursday's show, which was a day off for Atlanta, and previewing the Minnesota series and saying maybe we could get consecutive wins, meaning 2 in a row.
Meaning
now
2.
stands at 4 in a row. 4 is a streak. And so having a sweep and then beginning the St. Louis series with a win last night with that monster 8th inning, it's been very fun to see and somehow yet overshadowed by some things off the field, on the field / off the field that we'll get to later, but let's not bury the lead.
Which is your shirt.
I mean, style and profile.
Incredible.
Kiss all the girls and make them cry.
This was Ish's Easter outfit,
This
too.
was me, Easter Sunday. Almost drew too much attention.
Yeah.
It's the Lord's Day, not mine, everyone. So did not mean to steal any spotlight there, but I was telling you last night over the weekend, various places, including at Church Sunday, saw so much Roback, and I spread the good news of PG20. Roback.com, on your first order, enter code PG20 and you'll save 20% off of your entire order. As you see, this is part of the new collection they have out there now. A lot of good stuff there, a lot of new things. If you haven't checked it in a while, worth checking out again. Roback.com, code PG20.
All right, let's jump right into it. Let's recap the series with the Twins, and we're going to discuss Acuña's post, so just bear with us. We will get there. We have a lot to discuss, like we mentioned. But let's start from the beginning. Game 1, 6-4 win. What did you see there, Ush?
Well, we saw a comeback, which was really good to see. So Atlanta getting down, coming back to win that game. You and I left Thursday's show agreeing our greatest area of weakness was the bullpen.
Yeah.
And this series, you saw the bullpen excel. So the bullpen was great. You know, you had a subpar Bryce Elder start. A little sidebar. I am confused as to why Bryce Elder is on the roster and A.J. Smith-Shawver is not.
I am too, and I think that's a great point. I've seen some people discussing that on social media, but Bryce Elder just continues to be pretty lackluster, and I would like to see that switch, and I'm curious if we will see that over the course of the next few weeks.
So he wasn't great, but the bullpen kept him into the game. We saw Jared Kelenic with a home run, and even the Braves, which they've done a good job of all season, even when they weren't winning games, they drew some key walks in that rally as well. But a comeback win, you start the series off with a win. That's always good to set a precedent, and that led into what some people are calling the Alex Verdugo game, and other people are calling the Emily Grace McWhorter game.
It was so much fun, guys. So I was there on Saturday night, fully packed Truist Park, which was great to see. But Alex Verdugo, we're sitting in there, and it seemed like every time he was at the plate, something good was happening. And it was true.
And we spent so much time talking about that leadoff spot. Turns out we both knew Verdugo was going to be in the lineup. I personally did not see him being batting leadoff. And boy, did it work. So Saturday, he has a 4-hit game. Again, the bullpen was great. Chris Sale goes less than 5 innings yet again. Extremely critical of his own performance. And he wasn't... It's not like he was terrible. It's not like the wheels came off.
No.
But it wasn't the Chris Sale that we're used to, and he has not gone into, late into the game.
Yeah, like
we're used to seeing as well. He's not even going 5 innings.
No, and that was something that we had said we wanted to see on Saturday, that we both had said this could be the Chris Sale kind of bounce back game. It was not, but as you mentioned, these starts that he's having, it's not chaotic. It's not this awful, terrible, no good, situation, but it's not the Chris Sale that we're used to, and he's not going as deep into games. And now the bullpen is helping him there, whereas previously that was non-existent.
Correct. This was also on the other side of the coin, the Jared Kelenic game. And we're going to get to Jared Kelenic here in a second. So game 1 has a home run. Game 2, he thinks he has a home run. And it's not. It's a common thing that you've seen. He's got the hit. Yeah. He pimps it. And now he's struggling to get to second and doesn't get there in time, and it's an out.
So we were there. It sounded off the bat like it was gone.
Looked like it on TV.
Looked like it. It felt like it. The crowd thought that this is awesome. It wasn't. And then you have the play at second. They did review it. He was close, but it would have been an easy double should he have hustled down the line.
Agreed.
So that brings us, let's talk about it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and talk about it.
Let's go ahead and talk about it. So it was not handled how some folks seem to think that it should have been with Snit. A lot of people are drawing the comparison to Ronald Acuña in 2019 when he was pulled from the game for doing the same thing. Now, there is a lot of different angles to this. The discussion was sparked by Ronald Acuña, and Forrester has the tweet that has since been deleted. But Acuña responded and said, if it were me, they would take me out of the game. I saw this pop up on my Twitter. It felt like seconds, maybe minutes after he tweeted this, Ush. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a prank. I thought this has to be a parody account. This is not Acuña. What's happening here? No, it was real. It got an insane amount of traction very, very quickly, which ultimately led it to be deleted. There was an ESPN alert. I'm sure a lot of you guys got that as well. But people are really drawing some lines in the sand over this issue, and I think we differ in our opinions.
Yeah,
let's start with you.
It was even, next round led off the show yesterday with this. So it's a mainstream sports story. And we never create like, you take this side, I'll take this side. We never do that. It's not authentic, and I just don't think that's entertaining. I think this is a Ronald Acuña Jr. problem. So if you recall, Ronald Acuña was pulled in 2019, not for an isolated incident. There was things leading up to that, both in terms of that specific problem when you're pimping the what you think's the home run, and in the outfield. Mm-hmm. Those problems also continued after that benching in 2019.
Yeah,
it's not like that flushed it out of his
through.
system.
Yeah.
And so it was a pattern. My point being, it was a pattern of behavior. I have not seen anything as far as a pattern of behavior from Jared Kelenic. Kelenic it took complete responsibility for it, came to Snit the very next day, my bad, and said to Snit and then to the media, that will never happen again. Mm-hmm. And I believe him. Jared Kelenic is nowhere in the same realm as Ronald Acuña Jr. as terms of his value to the team, anything of that nature. But it's apples and oranges. Now, regardless of that, what possible good comes from tweeting that?
None.
Yeah, I don't
None.
see any positive to that. Even if someone reads it and says, well, I agree with him, he's right in that. Okay, does that help? Does that help the team? First off, you're not there. So you're causing all this, and the guys in the clubhouse are having to deal with it. They're the ones that are having to answer to it because you're not there. I have a major problem with that, and it's going to lead to a question, and we'll save this for the end because I really want to get your take on it. I reached out to several friends of the show, and it said, who's the leader on this team? And so we're going to get to that and see if we do have a leadership problem. But that is essentially my take. The team may have a clubhouse issue. There may be a lack of leadership. There may be some responsibility on Brian Snitker for this. I'm not absolving him, but to me, I read it more as being a Ronald Acuña Jr. problem. Immature and not helpful, and I thought we were kind of over this after your MVP season. That's not helping. You're not helping, is what I'd say.
Well, I think, too, there's a lot of different sides to this, and I am seeing truth in all of them. So from my perspective, I think that, with Acuña very publicly discussing this, knowing it would get traction, replying to one of the most credible Braves reporter there is, this was an intentional, I don't want to say look at me moment, but this was an intentional, hey, I'm going to weigh in. Now, I do think there is some truth to what he said, that he's right. If that were Acuña, as we've seen before, the outcome might have been different. My issue is how it was handled post-game. I don't think that Snit should have come out to the media and said that he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
That wasn't great.
Agreed.
And again, guys, the conclusions that we're drawing, we're not speculating anything.
Yeah.
We're not speculating. You can find this information.
Yeah. And truthfully, the only people that know are the people in that clubhouse.
Exactly. Now, we were discussing this, and one of the points that I made was, okay, we have talked about there's been a lack of energy, if you will, potentially a lack of team chemistry that we've talked about on this show. And I'm wondering if this is contributing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying Ronald Acuña is contributing to that lack of team chemistry, but it's very telling that this would be something that he would go public with. And maybe there are some issues between him and Snitker.
Yeah.
I am really curious how the team responded to this because, too, you have Acuña that potentially, I'm not exactly sure where he is, if he's still rehabbing in LA. I know that he was in Florida for some of this spring. But I guess, where's the encouragement when things weren't going right? You know?
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that aspect.
Yeah.
However, I do agree that this wasn't handled in the best way, and I don't think the solution is dunking on Ronald Acuña.
Yeah.
Because the value that Acuña brings to the Braves organization cannot be overstated. Ronald Acuña is good for the game of baseball. He is great for the Braves franchise, and he's even better when he is representing the Braves in a uniform that has Atlanta across the chest.
Agreed.
There's a lot of discussion, too, that, okay, what does the rest of Acuña's tenure look like in a Braves uniform? I saw a tweet, I don't know exactly who said this, but I agree. If Acuña leaves the Braves, it's not going to be for one day that Brian Snitker made him mad. You know what I mean?
Right.
One day of the year in 2025. It's going to compile, but I do think it's alarming. And as you said, we're not used to seeing these potential culture issues, if you will.
Because the Braves have had a strong culture.
Strong culture. There's a lot of discussion about Ron Washington and EY kept some guys in check, and now that they're gone, there isn't that accountability. But I think that this is even outside of that. I think that this is showing some issues that, Acuña, and let's just say this too, guys, it must absolutely, the hardest person that this is on is Acuña. There's no one that loves baseball, playing in a Braves uniform more than Ronald Acuña.
Right.
He's been very outspoken about this. A lot of these frustrations, and this is speculation, is probably coming from that he cannot play with his team right now.
Could be.
And he's having to sit on the sidelines or in the dugout or wherever he is. Someone in the chat, Tyler, says he's here in Florida. And he's not in the position to contribute. And so there's a lot of frustrations that come from that as well.
Yeah. By and large, I think it's slightly overblown.
Agreed.
And I don't think it's indicative. I think it would be presumptuous to say there's a toxic culture there.
Agreed.
Or
Absolutely.
Or that this won't all be fine once Ronald is back playing. So we'll get back to that leadership discussion and a lot of things in the chat we want to get to as well. But then don't want to forget to follow up with that, finish up that Twin Series game 3, a 6-2 win. Grant Holmes, another really good start from Grant Holmes. He's 2-1 now with a 3.22. Loved to see that from him. You had Matt Olson, Drake Baldwin, and Marcel with home runs in that game. And so they, you had the home runs, you had good pitching, and then you get the sweep. So much needed.
Sweet.
It was just a Braves just needed that so badly to have a sweep. It would have been great just to have the series win and the win back-to-back games, but to get the sweep was huge. Alex Verdugo. So how valuable was Alex Verdugo? So far in the short tenure, he's batting .294. OPS is .745. He's got 5 hits. I think that I have no reason to believe that we won't see him to continue to get mostly to be in the starting lineup, batting leadoff until the aforementioned Ronald Acuña Jr. returns.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot for him. He was enjoyable to watch. It was funny. We were, kind of sitting behind him in the outfield, and he's fidgety, very fidgety. And he kept turning around, looking back up. And I thought, being in person at a baseball game, it's just the environment was incredible. We'll get into some new things that Truist Park has. But I did notice that, and I want to get back to the chat here. Thank you guys for being active. We have a lot of good discussion. Forrester says there's no chance that Snit didn't notice that Kelnick's, hit didn't make it across the wall. I would agree with that. And again, that goes back to I don't think that was the best comment to have said.
Agreed.
Tyler says Snit didn't back Acuña when the league was throwing at him every game. He's always had some weird issue with him. So that's an interesting point because I was kind of thinking about that too, that a lot of people have had issues with Snit not defending his guys.
I felt like I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like that he didn't defend him. I think that was just more his personality and the way he manages. And you may not like that style, and I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't think that was specific to
Acuña.
Ronald, and I don't think that there is I've seen Snit get emotional talking about Acuña.
Yes, I have too.
And so I don't think that is some type of fractured relationship. I would like for Tyler to follow up. He mentions about Jeff Rancour taking a shot at Acuña. I have not seen that. And
yes.
So
I listened to that prior to getting on here, and he was one of the people, that said, where was the support? Where was the encouragement? Mentioned that, he's off in LA. He's not with the team. And he laid into him.
Yeah.
He laid into him, and you guys can go check that out. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. Maybe after
I have to listen to that.
Yeah, after the show, you guys go listen to it, reply to one of our tweets or, message us and see what you guys think. I think it's telling when you have someone like him speaking on the situation. But I do think that right now this isn't what the Braves need at all.
So several people mentioned here, and Goose, good to see Goose back. Nick, always good to see Nick. And Nick saying, several people saying they're over Kelnick, and I already stated my thoughts on that last week. I understand that completely. It just kind of is what it is. And Hunter mentioned this early in the chat. He's like, I want to know what kind of tacos Mikey was having.
Yes. Yes.
Let's not go all hardcore here. We had our own Emily Grace McWhorter in attendance Saturday at Truist Park.
Yeah, and we have some photos we can show you guys. There's a lot of new additions, unless we can kind of do a little positive spin now after talking about the depressingness that is Ronald Acuña's situation. But they have a lot of new things. So this is the center field market. Yeah. And
they featured this last night on the broadcast.
Well, no, this is different.
No, that's different.
This is
was
different.
A different one.
Yes,
yeah,
so this is right behind center field, near the Home Depot little deck situation. And this is healthy snacks, easy grab and go. So there's no checking out.
Skipping that part?
Yeah. It's just an open air sort of place. You grab things, you go. I thought that was interesting, and I'm sure people with young kids, that'll be very convenient.
Everyone likes to go to the ballpark and get a salad and a water.
Yeah, no.
Nope, not me. But I like that they're offering that for people who want to stay true to their diet and
Yeah.
are not going to use that as a cheat day.
Okay, so this is so cool, guys. Okay, so if you remember the kids area, if you've been to Truist, literally since it was SunTrust, they had this kid area with lights. They had like the, pitching area, the, what's it called? Not hang glider. The zip line.
Yeah, zip line.
Zip line. Okay, so that's all gone now. And now it's called the Pin. And so it's like a stall that has all of these different restaurants in it.
Yeah.
And then they have...
It's like a little mini food court.
It is. It's like a little mini food court. It is awesome. And the decor, the execution of it has been absolutely incredible. Every detail about Truist is intentional. It makes sense. And it goes with the brand. So check this out. One of the stalls in the Pin, so you do have the restaurant in the Pin, but they had these different stalls like we mentioned, is Taqueria Tsunami. And that's my favorite restaurant in Marietta. And they have their own stall. So you guys need to go check it out. I had the Asian nachos. And then Mikey had the brisket tacos.
Come on.
From Velvet Taco. I had Velvet Taco in Oklahoma. I went to Oklahoma for the Oklahoma TCU game in 2021 maybe.
Yeah.
And they had, that's like one of their chains. The tacos were insane. Brisket tacos, incredible. Little spicy. Had the cheese dip, the chips, whole 9 yards. Not super expensive, but it's not Mercedes-Benz pricing.
Yeah, you're going to pay.
Right.
I'm prepared for that. I'm not going to complain about that.
My Sprite was $6.95.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's not great. But again, the experience at Truist was awesome. The weather was perfect. Really, really enjoyed our time there.
Electric crowd also.
So
crowd
that's
was great.
the outfield market. That's what the whole place is
Okay.
called, and the Pin is the restaurant. So you got center field market and outfield market. And I do wish they'd put like some string lights back up because I really like those. But I say all of that, it has been an excellent addition, and it just makes a lot of sense. Like everything about Truist just feels intentional, and I think that's really important when you're trying to promote a family atmosphere. And then also a little parking pro tip before we get back into the discussion about SNIT and where we go from here. If you guys need good parking, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, you've unlocked this.
I've unlocked this. So it's on Cobb Parkway, and there's an Olive Garden, there's a Mexican restaurant, and an Arby's, I want to say. And there's like a Del Taco. If you go down to the Olive Garden, it's also in the Goodwill parking lot. It's $10 parking. Yeah. Well lit.
Yeah.
There's a little guy that hangs out the whole time. And it's maybe a 10-minute walk.
He's a little guy.
He's a little guy.
Yeah.
He's a little guy that hangs out. Super nice. That's where you need to park. Now, you can go for the $20 and get even closer. Still completely worth it. And it's about the same. I mean, even if you're parking at like the red deck or the Delta deck, you're still having to walk a ways.
I like a little walk. You sit
Yes.
so much. Anyway,
Exactly,
I want a
exactly.
little bit of a stroll there.
So yes, reach out if you need help with the parking tips. We have it all. There used to be a Wendy's that was great parking. They kind of,
Shut that down.
They shut that down. But this is completely, you don't have to worry about your car getting towed. And there's enough people walking back after the game that you're not alone. I will say this, if you plan to go to the Battery that night and have some fun out on the town, this is a little too far away because you're walking along a main road, and I would be a little concerned.
Yeah.
Splurge a little bit, get a little closer in, but that's where you guys need to go. Great night. If you guys go to a game this year, send us some photos. We would love to see you guys there. We're planning a game sometime this summer for the Pennant Grace team to go. And we're going to have some fun there. We will actually let you guys know what date we pick, and maybe we can all hang out.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
and let us know what you eat, where you park, what you do. We have, of course, Tyler Lionel Johns and Scott Forrester behind the glass. Scott, before we move on to our next topic, what is a standard ballpark fare to fill the belly of Scott Forrester if he's at a game?
I mean, I'm a nachos guy, but I'm all for a hot dog.
You like to load them up? You like the nachos with a bunch of stuff in it, or you just go traditional?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, if you got barbecue and jalapenos and all that, I'm here for it.
Yeah, there you go. I like that too.
Agreed.
Sweet? Anything sweet?
No,
I mean, I know no Peeps.
no, God, that's not even food.
I had some of those over the Easter weekend. Scott
you did.
did not.
Unfortunately,
approve.
right in front of me.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
Okay, let's wrap with this because the chat, you guys have been really interested in this. Longevity of SNIT.
Yeah, I don't know. So Tyler says his contract's up at the end of the season. I think they'll ask him to call it a career. They won't fire him, but I don't think they'll leave it up to him. I somewhat agree with that. I think
agree.
it will be more mutual. I think he I could see this being his last year, and I could see both parties being okay with that.
Yeah.
Brian Snitker being okay with it and the organization being okay with it. And then it's about who takes that. Does Walt Weiss move up into that role? Do they go outside? I would say I would put the over-under, at 1.5 seasons.
We will do a dedicated show to that here as we get.
Yeah, we'll talk about. We got a lot we'll get to on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I reached out to some friends of the Pennant Grace. First off, before that, just again, so much going on.
Yeah.
Real quickly, last night, 7-6 win. Spencer Schwellenbach bounced back, had a nice start. The runs, the 2 runs he gave up, you had errors involved that weren't on him. They had that massive 5-run 8th inning, which was really cool to see. But then the Cardinals had a 3-run 9th.
Got
Made
a
me
little dicey
sweat.
there, if you will.
Not a good outing from Rosella Iglesias, who struggled a little bit this season so far. But Riley, Murphy, both had home runs. Very cool to see. Here was my question.
Okay.
I'll get your take once I read these. My question is, do you think the team has a leadership problem? Who do you think is the leader of that clubhouse? Some friends of the show, Golf Gardner. I think it's a good point and a potential problem. No Darno anymore or guys like that. I would assume Ozzy's the leader, and from the stories I've read and heard, Ozuna has helped out so many guys. Ward Smallwood, it's a good question. They don't seem to have an alpha. It is certainly not Acuña. A team needs their best player to be the leader. I love that statement and agree with it. Jonathan Osborne. I think the most likely clubhouse leader guys would be Riley or Ozzy because of their tenure and stature. But Austin may be too quiet, which I think Hunter mentioned in the chat. Ozzy may be too fun-loving. Sale seems to be a leader amongst pitchers at least, so maybe he has some clout across everyone too.
This is interesting. I like this.
Other friend of the show, Morgan Wright. I bet it's an interesting mix of things due to all the injuries the last 2 years.
That's true.
Really tough to create continuity when guys are in and out. Acuña and Strider are fan favorites. Being out is a cloud. Then you go from this explosive offense, fun-filled vibe, we talked about this, to just grinding, trying to keep your head above water. So everyone wants and expects more pop, and it gets antsy or pressing. Albies and Riley, seen those names before, should be the bedrock of the team as long-tenured guys. So what say you to all of that? That's a lot. And what say you to who the leader is?
Well, I'm surprised we did not hear Olsen.
We did not.
And that surprises me because to me, I feel like that is someone that should be contributing to the leadership qualities of the team. Now, I think that I agree, was it with Goff who said that there's no Darno? That was one, in my opinion, of the biggest losses the Braves have had simply because of who he is as a person and as a player.
Yes.
As a father, as a husband, as a teammate. He was one of the glue guys of this team, especially when it came to pitching too, because he was able to help develop those younger pitchers. That's who you want behind the plate. I said, if you're starting a game
and
for
you
the
have
first
a lot
time,
of young arms.
Exactly. You want Travis Darno behind there. So I think that, and Goose makes a good point. I think the shoes Freddie left are too big for Olsen. Fair point.
Boy, I miss Freddie.
I miss, yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
I think that Austin Riley, I think that he does contribute. But I really am at a loss right now because I still can't pinpoint who that guy is. I agree with that Ozzy seems to have that more fun-loving personality that maybe he doesn't contribute in that, kind of leadership way. But I think that he is a valuable voice to be had. I think that Chris Sale is definitely a leader for the pitching staff.
Yeah.
And I never really considered Ozuna, truthfully.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the best hitter on the team.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think Golf made a good point that you do see guys coming to him to see that he's batting .333 so far this year.
And I want to make one thing clear. I think,
or in his last 7, excuse me.
Each of the players that we have mentioned here are clearly incredible teammates, incredible people. And I think that, they all do contribute to leadership in some form or fashion. We say it a lot on this show. We're not in the clubhouse. We're not privy to a lot of information.
That's
so
right.
This is the speculation aspect. And we're going to get it wrong 100%. And we're supportive of each guy that we're mentioning. But I think we can all agree we would like to see who that leader is and see them emerge as we, head into the summer months of the season. But here, April 22nd, I can't surefire say who I feel like is in that leadership role right now.
And we'll continue this discussion Thursday. And if you're not in the chat, if you could send us who you think at the Pennant Grace on X and give us your thoughts. If there is a leader in the clubhouse, who you think it is, or whatever other thoughts that you want to talk about, and we'll discuss those on Thursday's show. We'll recap the Cardinal series and then preview to look ahead as far as what is next and all the other kind of comings and goings, having some moves there in the roster. So don't know who's starting tonight for Atlanta. And Andre,
we'll call him Andre.
Pallante. Any guesses?
No.
3.22 ERA, 2-1 takes the mound for St. Louis as the Braves look to extend their win streak to 5. So we'll be back Thursday with another loaded show to discuss all of that. Craig Kimbrell, by the way, is now in Gwinnett.
Oh, that's news to me. I did not know that.
That happened today. The last time Craig Kimbrell was in Gwinnett, 14 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, what were you doing 14 years ago?
14 years ago, I had I was changing diapers 14 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we really enjoyed this show. We love the interaction and the chat with you guys. Ush, if they want to watch the Braves game and eat a good meal while doing it, do you have any place in mind if they're in the Birmingham area?
Watch the game with good food and fellow Braves fans. Lag's Eatery is your place. They're going to always have you're never going to ask them, can we get the Braves game going at Lag's Eatery? Because they're going to have it up and ready to go. Go out on that porch. The weather in the evenings right now is absolutely perfect. Sit out, have a fantastic burger. I get the deluxe cheeseburger, no onions, with the tots, and they get them a little crispy just the way I like them. Sit out there, watch the Braves, and have some good food with our friends at Lag's Eatery.
All right, that's going to do it for the Pennant Grace today. Remember to follow us at the Pennant Grace. We love all 197.
Don't we, though?
We do. We do. We really appreciate you guys. Make sure you're following us and give us that 5-star rating if you feel so inclined on the podcast app of your choice. We really appreciate it, and we will see you back at 12:15.